Hello and welcome to Soul Symbols. My name is Shelley. I'm a writer, an astrologer, and a card reader, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel. I'd like to say happy Tuesday. It is How to Tarot Tuesday, and today is a very lucky number. What it is every Tuesday I go through one card from the 78 card tarot, and I first go over the description of the card, like the meaning of the symbols, and then I proceed to let you, the viewer, choose from 1 to 3 tarot decks. When you choose your tarot deck, I go ahead and do a card spread to show how that card, the one that we're talking about, manifests currently in your life. Now, these are universal readings. Anytime you come across the video, if you are drawn to the messages contained, then it is a message for you at that time. So it does not need to be February 2020 for you to glean any information from it. And I just think it's a fun way to revisit the meanings in symbols. You don't have to be a novice to tarot to visit the videos and kind of learn. I also really appreciate any posts or comments. If you'd like to comment, or subscribe. I definitely just feel like there's always new things that you can learn from the symbols and the cards. And it's funny, I know a lot about tarot from reading cards for a long time, but it never fails. Every single time I do one of these videos, I seem to get a new understanding of it, and it's always so much fun. Now, if you ever want to just skip straight to your reading, the timestamps are always in the description box below, as are the names and authors of all the materials that I use. So we do use card decks, and that information is posted below. So if you just want to skip over all of the how-to part, feel free to do that, and you can go straight on to your reading. But today is going to be a real exciting day. We are coming up on the end of the Major Arcana. That just blows my mind. I started this channel back in October, and I'm just so proud of it. It is my brainchild. It is my love. I enjoy reading cards for you, and I enjoy interpreting symbols and sharing these insights. And what it is that we only have 2 more cards to go after today's card, and that just blows my mind blown. I'm like, wow, that's amazing to me. And then we will be getting into the Minor Arcana. But today's card is actually a very special one. We've gone on what they call the Fool's Journey. Tarot is a storytelling game, and the Major Arcana talks about the major events in somebody's life. It's very hard to describe those kind of pivotal moments in your existence, but the Major Arcana does that. It's not just minor little day-to-day stuff. It's major cornerstones or major events, right? That's why it's the Major Arcana. And today we are studying card number 19. And we started with the Fool, and we went through all the heavy hitters. We went through the Devil, we went through the Tower, we went through the Sun, the Star. I'm getting ahead of myself. And today we get to one of the most beautiful cards. Truly, it's almost like crossing the finish line after all of the major things that came before this card. And we are talking about the Sun. And the Sun, in the traditional arcana, and again, the first deck that I use anytime I do the How to Tarot is always going to be the Rider-Waite Smith. That is the turn of the century deck that was created by Pamela Coleman Smith, or she's the illustrator. And what it is in the Sun, you see a beautiful, benevolent face inside of what looks like a vibrant sun with, streaming rays. You see a red banner. First off, you see sunflowers in the background. You see a child with very curly cues and a red feather sticking out of its head or out of its hair. And it's riding a white horse, which is purity and innocence and, freedom. And then they are also seem to be carrying very, very lightheartedly, like it doesn't even take much effort to carry this flag, right? A red flag, which is energy and vitality and action, right? And behind them, it looks like the sunflowers are actually on a wall. So it almost looks like, this child is running around a garden or something that's very protected and sheltered. It's almost as if, nothing can touch this child's joy. And you look at their face, and there is just this beautiful, simple expression of of benevolence and just freedom, and arms wide open, naked, feet, the toes even look like they're curled. It's just this kind of sense that you get this expression of just absolute uninhibited joy, right? And that is what the sun means. It is uninhibited joy. It is, the sun, the traditional meaning is, we studied the moon last week, and we talked about how the moon does not carry its own light. It reflects the rays of the sun. And that is what the sun means. It means, it's finding a sense of, freedom after all the chaos. It comes after the moon, it comes after the tower, it comes after the star. And the sun really is, attaining, first off, the first meaning is coming to an enlightenment. It's like you've heard songs that talk about, I can see clearly now the rain is gone. It's almost like the sun has come out. So the first meaning of the sun is that the clouds have parted, right? Something that was murky or confusing, and in Lenormand, clouds mean, thoughts or, clouded emotions, clouded, thinking. And here, the sun has come out, right? The sun has come out, and it just means the clouds have parted. It means things are coming to light. And they're not only just coming to light, they're coming to light in a really positive way. That's one of the most beautiful things about the sun, is that, it's not just, the obstacle is past. The obstacle is past, and there is joy on the other side of it. There is uninhibited, I have made it through, here are the boons of your labor, let's have fun, let's play kind of joy. And that is what makes the sun such a gorgeous and welcome card. I mean, anytime everyone will say, there's a few cards in the deck, and especially in the majors, that just mean that things will get better. Normally it's the Fool upright, not so much the Fool reverse, the Star upright, or, and the Sun. Those are pretty much the three ones that even if you see those cards in reverse, it's not so scary. And the Sun in upright just kind of means, don't worry. And you can see the look on the child's face, like, don't worry. Everything is you might think that you are in the trenches, you might think that everything, so if you saw a bunch of scary cards and then you pull the third card and it's the sun, it's like, okay, whatever crap that you just saw, it's about to clear up. It's about to clear up in a really big way. And you're going to be freaking excited when you get to the other side. And I know sometimes it doesn't seem that way, but, the white horse and the child. Another rendition, especially with the child is meaning like having a childlike joy to something. I've talked before about, how sometimes you want to be playful like a child. You want to have happiness the way you did when you were little, and you didn't, before you were adult and you knew about adult problems. You remember how you could really let loose and really not worry about anything? That's the beauty of the sun, is that it's really talking about a solution or an outcome, or not even an outcome, a moment where you can have fun like a child. And sometimes if you're having a rough week, or if you see the sun pop up in between kind of sad cards, it usually means that you're going to have a moment of joy, usually an unexpected one that just popped up and made you feel like this baby on the horse, right? And that happens sometimes. Sometimes when you could 5 minutes earlier, I know it seems kind of pendulum swing, emotional little wonkiness there, but there are moments when your ancestors, your guides, God wants you to be happy. And if you've had a crappy ass time and you see the sun come up, it means they're going to send you a moment of joy. Now, sometimes this moment of joy can stem from a child. There is a baby in the picture. Sometimes, when we are, again, I was just talking about being entrenched in adult problems, sometimes a little kid will come along and just give you a beautiful moment, just with their innocence or with their intellect and their knowledge. And again, it's like, there's a lot of children who are old souls. And they'll walk up to you and they'll smile at you, or they'll do something, and it makes you think, oh God, okay, everything that I was just feeling, went away for a minute. It can also mean like, I post over on my Facebook page, I have what I call the smile of the day. And what it is it's literally the thing that made me smile that day. And it never fails. It tends to be something kind of small that I didn't expect. And it is in a way my sun moment for the day. And it's something that kind of got me out of my head and made me appreciate others, made me appreciate life. And it never fails. Those smiles of the days are always something that pertains to that day and that moment in time. It's not just like a memory that I hold on to indefinitely. It's something in that moment, present and center. And it's very Zen. You know, they always talk about being present and in the moment. I did share a different smile of the day today. My car, my tour baby is in the shop, and I've got a loaner that's actually really quite nice. I wanted kind of a basic car. I didn't want anything fancy, but I got a loaner that's pretty darn nice. So that was my smile of the day. But I will go ahead and share a different one with you. This is one that I did not tell anybody. I did not post on Facebook, but I wanted to share it with you. One other thing that the sun tends to mean is, just like the moon represents the divine feminine, the sun represents the divine masculine. It typically represents fathers. So just like the sun here can mean like can mean a fatherly figure. And it also, just on a side note, it does mean virile men, men who are capable of being a father, and I'll just leave it at that, because it is a very fiery sign, right? And the wands tend to be a little bit sexual, but it means, and you can see the sun is looking over, it's almost shining rays down on a child, right? So it typically, in that sense, and in that symbolism, which is so amazing, isn't it amazing how pictures from the turn of the century can represent that? And it's actually kind of an astrological thing too, because when you look, if you look at a Saturn placement in someone's chart, it usually means your father, and the way that it affects your sun in your chart. So if you look at the Saturn in your father's chart, or the Saturn in your own, and the way it affects each other's sun, it's kind of it kind of points or puts a highlight on the type of father-child relationship you will have with that person. But that's astrologer hat, sorry. But that is one of the meanings of the sun. And that actually plays into the smile of the day, and I'll share it real quick with you. I have kind of a routine of going to a favorite coffee shop and getting brunch. And oh my gosh, my stomach completely objects if it is the day that I go to get my brunch and I'm not there getting my brunch. It's like my stomach's like, hey, where's your sandwich? Where's your eggs and avocado, right? But I went in and I got my coffee. I always go to my same coffee place, and I went to get my brunch this morning. And it was funny. My father, if you watch my channel, my father passed away about 2 years ago, and we had the funeral for him last year. And recently, I've kind of had this landslide where I've been thinking about him a whole lot. It's almost as if I just kind of had an emotional wave of all the things that I haven't really been working through, and it kind of pulled me into the undertow recently, but I'm working through it. It's just, everybody has those moments where it's like all of the events of the last year kind of caught up with me. And I feel like my stepmom has a tradition with my dad where she finds shiny pennies, and she calls them pennies from heaven. And it's amazing how when I'm missing my dad, or I find myself in a situation where I'm supposed to be, like I feel like I'm meant to be in that situation or in that place, I'll look down and I'll find a shiny penny. And I have, if you look at the day 19 of the 31 days of tarot, I have a video that talks about my daily routine, and I'll show you in that video, I show you my little container of shiny pennies. I find a lot of them. And I found a shiny penny today. And what it was is I was standing at the desk buying my coffee for the day, my usual routine. And I turned around, and there's little tables next to the coffee place. And there was kind of a Generation X person there, really hovered over their phone. And it's statistically proven when you do that hunch over your phone, you're putting like 60 to 80 pounds of stress on your neck and back and shoulders. I think this generation, the tech generation, has shoulder problems, and I'm don't mean to be a hypocrite saying that. I have the same problem. My shoulders get so tense. But I saw this woman really engrossed in her phone, and then I looked 2 tables over and I saw this gentleman who really would have been around my father's age, or an older gentleman, sitting at a table alone, and he didn't have a phone at all. And he didn't seem bothered that he didn't have technology to preoccupy himself. He was completely content, but alone. And there's been some projects that I've had in my mind that I've really wanted to go forward with. And I saw that, and it was kind of a physical manifestation of me wanting to go forward with some of these ideas, like, connecting the generations. And you'll hear more about this in the future. But at first, I kind of wrote it off as being a silly thought. I was like, oh, I can't do that, da-da-da-da-da. And one thing that my father and I had in common is that my dad had a complete stellium in a certain sign, and including his Saturn. So he was a very heavy thinker. He really got caught up in his head a lot, but he was brilliant about it. But he got bogged down in his mind a lot. And the funny thing is, his Saturn conjunct that same sign throughout his whole chart is in the same sign where I have my Mercury, which is my sense of perception and the way I see the world. And it's amazing. Mercury is a very light sign. It flits. It's almost like the social media sign. It's like, okay, input, how can I learn this? We flit around, right? If you have a Mercury in a sign, you flit around in that sign. And he doesn't flit. He builds cornerstones with that sign, right? And it was funny in our relationship, you saw that a lot. What would happen is I would flit around like a hummingbird, and he would be all really engrossed and almost like a plotting down on his butt, like, no, you take this idea and you do this, right? And it's funny, in our relationship as father and daughter, my Mercury being there, I would tone down my hummingbird, because I know he probably thought I was pretty flighty at times, but my mental hummingbird got him to lighten up. And his Saturn in the same place got me to bunker down. He got me to see that thought was just not fleeting. It was something that could actually be built upon. And it was funny, I was looking at those 2 people at the table today, and I thought, okay, that's just a passing thought. And I looked down and I found a shiny penny. And I felt like, oh gosh, that's Dad telling me that I need to follow through on this thought. It's not just something that's passing, it's something that can be built upon. So you'll hear more about this in the future, but I just wanted to share that with you, and not to go off on a tangent. I'll go ahead and timestamp that so you can skip over that if you want. But that is where the sun does represent fathers, and it does. I do also think that one thing about fathers and the sun is that fathers, when men reach a certain amount of maturity, just like the sun in the sky is beaming rays down on its like a child, I think a lot of times the way the sun manifests, if it is manifesting, like if you saw the sun next to the emperor, or a card that represents your father, I think you do want to remember that fathers, through their experience, they want to support you, and they want you to be free in it's a support of your ego. So in that sense, and I'll leave it at that, if you do see the sun next to like a father type placement, I think it's a sign that your situation involves you following your instincts and being free and having the support of the patriarch in your family. And it can be a grandfather, it can be a father. Now, moving on, I know that was a tangent, sorry guys. These are the majors, and the sun's a powerful card, so I did want to touch on that and talk about that. But it is in a sense having that intellectual breakthrough, and I won't reiterate, just like I said about the coffee shop today, it's intellectual breakthrough. It's like having a bright idea. So definitely, if you see the sun and you're having like an instinct or an idea, you really might want to follow it, because I think it's like the open gate, right? The other thing with the wall being in this image, it's a safe idea, right? It is something that's going to work out for you, no strings attached, is also what the sun kind of says. Now, it's also kind of realizing the truth, having a breakthrough of thought. Maybe you've gone through a really tough situation and then all of a sudden the sun just comes out and you're like, oh my God, that's what that means. And again, if you've had kind of a sad time, it just means that your emotions will lighten suddenly. And that's a real blessing. It's something that you want to take advantage of. It can also mean getting, in that same vein, it's getting to the heart of the matter. Like if there is definitely something that's been weighing on your mind. So in that same vein, maybe if you've had an argument with someone, like if you see this next to the Five of Wands, or God help you if it's the Five of Swords, but it also means that maybe you've cleared out an argument. A lot of times when I see the sun, I think of the old adage about marriage that says never go to bed angry. It usually means that you've cleared up a fight, or maybe you've kind of seen the situation from the other person's perspective. The other thing is the achieving, it is about achieving greatness too, because you see the sunflower is about the ego, and it's not quite the Six of Wands. The Six of Wands is in the minor arcana, and it does mean victory. But here you do have like a riding in on a white horse, and look at how big this flag is compared to this little child, right? It's almost as if, again, there's a lot of innocence to this, but it's almost as if you're getting recognized for doing something that is so intrinsically you. It's like something that you would do unconsciously, and you're being recognized or being praised for that perspective. It is shining. It is demonstrating distinction or being the center of attention. You can see the sun is shining down on the child, and I just love the body language. It's like completely wide open. There's nothing guarded about this character's body language. And again, they're riding in on a white horse as if they're saving the day. It is about bursting forth with enthusiasm. And I'll go ahead, and the second deck I went with was the Slow Tarot by Lacey, Bryant, and I really love the sun in this. Again, you have another child. It's a little girl this time, wearing a golden dress, like this really orange. And orange really represents the heart chakra. It means creativity, and it means it does mean unbridled enthusiasm. You have all of these sunflowers, and it's neat. Some of the sunflowers almost look like they have faces. This is something new. I never noticed that before. It does almost look like the face in the sun from the original tarot, doesn't it? Isn't that neat? See? I pick up new things every single time I do these readings. But it is, and that's what I love about this depiction of the card, is that you're having fun, right? And you're doing something. And the other thing is that with the sunflowers, I usually depict the sun as you doing something that may not, it might not be the novelty thing that everybody likes to do, but that you love to do. And that it just thrills you. It just tickles you pink. Oh gosh, I went and, so in that vein, sometimes when I see this card, it sometimes means that, like, if you're asking for a solution to the problem, maybe you've had a rough time and you're like, hey, what should I do? Sometimes it's telling you, go out and do that thing that you like to do. Go ahead and do your thing, right? Do your thing. And go out there and just really let loose. And who cares if anybody else thinks it's weird? It's what you like to do, right? So sometimes it can mean, also with all the sunflowers, it can mean something that's very specialty, right? And above it, you see here it has a bird. And it means that you indulging in that fun activity will take you to a higher perspective. It'll put you on a higher plane where you are seeing things from a new vantage point. And usually it's going to be a very sunny vantage point where you can see much more than you did before. Again, it's that breakthrough. It's the world opening up to you. So in that vein, it's feeling invigorated. It's feeling really charged up. I just feel like a battery, like all of a sudden, So seeing the sun when you've had kind of a low energy week is actually wonderful. And, it's funny. I've had a few weeks where I've started off really what I call dragon ass, and I hope I can say that on YouTube, but really dragon ass. Like I've started off the week where I'm like, oh God, I'm just not gonna make it. And then I see the sun over the weekend and I'm like, oh yeah, that's not happening. And I'm always proved wrong. The moment I see the sun, the weekend will come and all of a sudden I am feeling like I get like a second wind, or something happens that just gets me juiced up, right? And that's what it means too. So if you see the sun, get ready for like the nitro boost of, you know, you're gonna be flooring it, right? In that same vein, it does have a lot of nature in it. So a lot of times, if it is also an advice card, it could be telling you that the source or what spurs on this happy moment is you getting out in the sunshine. So if it is like a solution to something, maybe you're indoors with all the curtains closed and you pull the sun, it might be telling you to go outside and take a walk. And when you get out in the sunshine, you'll be amazed, almost like a solar panel. It'll just recharge your batteries and get you out into nature. And that's definitely another interpretation, you know, especially if it's coming out as a solution or the answer to, you know, what should I do? The other thing is the sun is also about believing in yourself. And the third deck I went with is the Zillich Tarot. And for the record, it was tough choosing. You know, it seems like, you know, in the beginning, I had no problem choosing which 3 cards I wanted, like when we started with the Fool. As we're getting to the end of the majors, it is like choosing between my children. I'm having the toughest time. It all started with the Star. I couldn't figure out which star I wanted, you know, because there were so many pretty ones. But the Sun was a little bit of a tough choice, but I did. The third deck I went with was the Zillich Tarot, And here, I just thought it was gorgeous. It's a watercolor deck. It's one of my few watercolor decks. And exactly here you see the sun. You can see it's part of their hair. It's part of their face. And honestly, the sun is ruled by Leo. In astrology, the sun is the ruling planet of Leo. And Leo is ruled by, you know, sunny people. A Leo man is very gregarious. He goes out. He's warm. A Leo woman, she shines. It's usually the movie star card because for 2 ways. She's not only beautiful, but she is outgoing, she's creative, and she is a natural born leader in the way. It's almost like she has so much positive ego energy that she spreads the sunshine. And that's what I think of when I see this card. And that's why I chose this deck, is because I was like, yeah, that's the sun right there. Drop the mic, right? And it's like, that's what it is. It's like drop the mic. It's like, hey, I've got more than enough positive. The other, not more than, let me finish that thought. You can see I'm energetic. I'm glad I'm energetic for this read. I also I'm filming it during the day because I thought it was going to be totally hypocritical to not have natural sunlight when I'm filming the sun, but we are in winter, so hey, you know, gotta do what we gotta do. But anyway, back to my thought. A Leo woman, or if you're having, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that you're Leo, but it could mean that you've been having positive transits to your sun. So check out, there's a great website called AstroDeist. It's ASTRODIEST. It's a German site. It's fantastic. You can plug in your date of birth and it pulls up your whole chart for you. And there's an area on the site that will show you where your current planets are. But the planets in the sky, look at where the planets are in the sky and look to see if any of them are making a transit to your sun or maybe your Mercury, possibly your Venus. Because what it would be doing is if you have strong beams going to any of those planets, you're feeling pretty damn good, right? You're feeling vital, you're feeling confident, right? And the thing about Leo people, in particular Leo women as well, is that if you do have those beams, or if your sun is naturally Leo or naturally fire, and one thing is Venus just went into Aries. And after a long stint of being through the kind of cool, what I call the cooler planets, you know, we've been through Capricorn, we've been through Aquarius, we've been through a lot more. So all of my fire peeps, all those Leos, all those Aries, all those Sags, you're going to be feeling like like, oh my God, it's going to feel like spring. This spring is going to feel like spring. You're actually going to feel like you're coming out of the dark a little bit, and you get to like fire up your engines a little bit, flame on, flame on. So you probably have been feeling kind of dim lately. But what's going to happen is the Leo person is so strong in themselves. And I read a great quote that talked about that. If you have strong Leo placements, or if your Saturn's in Leo, mine is in Leo. And what I've learned about it is that they always talk about like Leo being kind of self-centered, but then that sounds so negative. But when you turn that same expression on its head, being self-centered means finding yourself at the center, right? It means not changing just because the outside influences want you to. You remain true to yourself, regardless of what's going on around you. And that is the beauty of Leo. And the other beautiful thing about Leo, and why the Queen of Wands or the King of Wands or the Sun is so damn positive, is because you are so strong in yourself. You know who you are, you love who you are, and you have enough of that it overflows and you can give to others. It's almost as if by giving to others, you give to yourself. You support others and get them to the same level as you, and there's no competition. It is just, you are the best you can be, I am the best I am, and we are awesome. And that's what makes the Sun absolutely amazing. And that's what makes Leos really amazing. And other fire signs too, the Sags and the my Sags and Aries. And Aries are powerhouses. Let me tell you, they're trailblazers. They lead. And the beautiful thing about that is they're fearless too. So that's the thing about the Sun, is that be fearless. And you see that. You see a lot of red in this too, right? Be fearless. And you see that Sun being right in their head. And actually Aries rules the head. It rules the eyes. Anytime. It's funny when you have transits that afflict Aries planets, you tend to feel it in your eyes, whether it's a migraine headache or, maybe you need to go to the optometrist. There's things like that tend to happen. The other thing is with Leo, we usually feel it in our hair. And I know that's crazy, but if you're stressed out, your hair might feel a little thinner. And what it is it's almost like it's also heart health. You see a lot of circulatory. And we're going to get into that in just a minute. But it's basically, so again, in that same vein, it's about trusting your abilities. It's about knowing who you are. A lot of times it can be about forgiving yourself. Maybe you weren't loving enough to yourself. Maybe you were giving too much to other people. So when the Sun comes out, it just means, the possibilities are endless right now. You really want to embody that warmth. And you're just going to have, again, it's just really glorious moments of feeling awesome. You feel strong in yourself. Now, the Sun in reverse, just like the other cards, the Sun in the reverse it's so bright and sunny, literally, that in the reverse, it's never that scary. It's never that scary. The most predominant meaning of the Sun in reverse is that happiness is delayed. That's number one interpretation. The happiness is delayed. You might be feeling either that, or you might be pushing down your happiness. Like you might be having a moment that would normally make you feel pretty joyous, but then you're just in a foul mood and you're like, but it's still happy, right? It's almost like it breaks even. It's not, you're not as on top of the world because you're in a bad, funky mood, but you're not as low as you would be if the Sun were not there. So, that's the beauty about the Sun in reverse. So it usually means delayed or kind of partial success. Maybe you tried something and it didn't quite, wasn't quite the firework up here, but it landed, it wasn't the worst. It can also mean, it can mean, the other thing about it is that if this is coming out next to a person, the Sun in reverse, it can mean egotism. It can mean someone who thinks they're the shit, right? Someone who thinks their stuff don't stink. It can be boastfulness. It can also be boastfulness that you do, like sometimes if you get to a party and you're just kind of in that, kind of I'm the man, I'm the woman mood, you might say something, you know, especially if you see this next to swords cards, you might say something that came across wrong, you know, that just kind of fell flat, right? Made you seem like you were full of yourself. The other thing with the sun in reverse is that maybe you could be dealing with a child that might not be very happy, and you're trying to get them to cheer up. You know, that's definitely an interpretation. It can also mean that, you know, that you have, it usually can sometimes mean concerns with external appearances, right? It could be that, just like we said, you know, Leo normally means a strong sense of self. And if the sun's in reverse, it might be like, okay, especially if you see this next to the Hierophant or the Hierophant in reverse, you might be caring too much what other people think. You might have lost that strong sense of self, and you're putting too much, you're investing too much in others' opinions of how you should be. The other thing, the sun in reverse can definitely mean that you're caving to expectations of other people, and that would be definitely true if you see it next to a Hierophant card, because it means that you're caving to the status quo. You're living your life according to what other people want, and either that or you're saying, okay, you're carving or cultivating your ego based on external forces. And I can just caution, and again, the sun is always a positive card even if it's in reverse, but I can caution, if you Google the top 10 regrets people have on their deathbed, which I know seems like a morbid concept, but it is very helpful in deciding what makes you happy in this life. And the sun, it talks about happiness, right? If you Google that, top 10 regrets people have, the number one of the top 5 I've seen on every single list was that I didn't live my life according to what I wanted. I did what others expected of me. Either that, or you didn't do something because you were afraid that you'd be judged for it. Right? And unfortunately, you are an individual, right? You are God's child. You are put on this planet with all of the little idiosyncrasies that make you you. And you will definitely come up against, you know, again, this is your ego, right? You can study psychology. Psychology talks about the sun, the ego. The reason we cultivate an ego is to act as the shield that goes up against, that bumps up against the external forces that we experience in this life. But you are still meant to be you. That is your life plan. That is your purpose. And you got to follow your compass. And I know that sounds so blow sunshine, but it's true. And sometimes the other thing about the sun, and in the upright and in the reverse, it does, when you see the sun at the end of a tough read, the other beautiful thing is that it means that you are fighting the good fight, right? I know it sounds kind of like a stupid reference, but if any of you have ever read the Twilight series, and I know it's vampire, it's romance, it's, you know, so many people roll their eyes, but if you even if you've just watched the movies, Bella's journey when she has a child, you know, there were so many times that they talked about really tough things about, like, you know, her wanting to abort the child, about her not going through with the pregnancy, about her nearly losing her life giving birth to the child. I always think about that as a son's journey, you know, a sun in reverse. Because what if she had done that? Right? It's almost like that unknown. That's kind of like the barrier between the moon and the sun. And I know it sounds like a very strange analogy, but she went with her gut instinct and she knew what was right, even though everyone was telling her to do different things. But in the end, everything turned out okay. There were moments of high stakes, but she ended up with her child. She did not abandon that because other people were trying to tell her. There's a lot of other analogies too, and not just that one, but when you think about that, you're going to have moments in life that are that hard, where people are really saying, you're doing the wrong thing, you shouldn't do this, you should do that. And what you need to do is you need to breathe, you need to sit into yourself, and you might not see the next step in front of you, but you'll know in your gut where you need to go, and that is your sun, and that is your moon, and that is your sense of self. Now, when it comes to people, real quick, and we'll talk about people and then we'll get into the read, people definitely mean those people who are just sunny personalities. Have you ever come across someone who just makes you feel good? You know, there are people who just in their aura, when you get around them, they're always so easygoing. They always just make your day. They're the ray of sunshine people. So sometimes when you see the sun, that could be it. You might be having a rough day and you see your favorite cashier at your grocery store, or you get around that coworker at work who always has a smile on their face. It can mean, you know, simple things like people who are good, who have a good suntan. It can be someone you know that likes to sunbathe. It can be really decisive men. It can be those leaders who are just so glorious, they almost glow like the sun. It can be leaders or kings, but it can also kind of be those people who are in the limelight. Like, I really think of really big CEOs who have made the difference. You know, they're the people who really they bring joy to others, and they do it, again, it's more of in that Leo way where they have such a strong sense of self that they share it with others. So what's that old saying is like, you know, I'm not quoting it right, but when you have a bunch of ships in the harbor, look to raise the water level, because then all the ships rise, right? It's kind of like that. It's like you're not just looking for your own ship to rise, you're looking to raise everyone in your harbor. That way you are a formidable source together, and it does not infringe on your own sense of self. You feel more powerful in empowering others, and that's definitely a sun person. So guys, wow, I knew that was going to be another powerhouse one, literally, but I thank you for sticking through that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to freeze frame the video. I'm going to show you the 3 decks. Please feel free to choose from your intuition. There's a lot of different ways that you can choose a deck. A lot of times I like to just look at each deck and ask the same question: how is the sun manifesting in my life? And normally when you get that kind of gut, kind of, you know, you feel a little twinge in your tummy, either that or you just kind of know. Some people like to look at the timestamps. So whatever works for you, go with it. If you need more time, please feel free to pause the video, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, we're back. So the first one is the Rider-Waite-Smith. My rendition of this card is the A.G. Mueller, and again, all the descriptions are in the description box below. But deck number 1, how does the sun manifest in your life? Ooh. Okay, thank you. Future, please. Okay, I'm sorry, that's way too many cards. Seeing the Emperor on the bottom, guys. Gosh. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and go with it. Okay. I definitely feel like you're ending a cycle. Again, the World was coming out on top, and we had the 2 of Swords on the bottom. The 10 of Swords also wanted to pop up. And we have a few cards that are angled here. So in the beginning we got the Moon, and ooh, thank you. All right, flipping all around. So the fact this card is flipping and flopping is telling me that it's very relevant. We got the Moon and the 10 of Pentacles. So this tells me right now I'm getting a strong sense that you are working really darn hard. You're working really darn hard. I really feel like this is work related. You're getting a lot of acclaim. I'm kind of getting a sense that on the outside, you just look like everything is flawless, like everything's perfect. You're industrious, you're a hard worker. But underneath the surface, you are just churning emotionally. And remember, How to Tarot on the Moon last week. If you get a chance to watch that, it will help explain a lot of this reflection, because these are parallels, sun and moon. The moon reflects the sun's light, and this is masculine, this is feminine. but deep down in your soul, you are absolutely churning inside about how to get a stable life. You want not necessarily a mansion, but you want a stable life. You want the home and family. You do not want to have to worry about money at all. And you want, and you're willing to work for it. You are willing to work for it. You're working for it now. But you are absolutely terrified, something deep down and something instinctual. I am kind of getting, I didn't see the Five of Pentacles, but I'm definitely sensing that this might be an emotional kind of response, something from childhood. And the fact that the sun rules masculinity, you can be a woman or a man watching this reading, but I do get a sense that something from childhood or something from coping mechanisms or scripts that you learned either in childhood or growing up, particularly pertaining to what it means to be a strong person. And this can be a man or a woman. If you're a man watching this, I do think that it's relating to what constitutes being a man. And being a man usually means, okay, you bring in the money, right? You bring in the money, you are solid, right? You do not want for anything, your family doesn't want for anything, and you do that by working hard. Again, if you're a woman watching this, same thing. You might be feeling like, okay, the other thing is if you're a woman watching this, you might kind of feel like you don't want to be like, there's so many women who work really hard in the workplace now, and that's common, where women are becoming the CEOs, right? But the only thing is that it takes a sacrifice, right? You're not at home as much. You're not. It's almost like you have to kind of decide between making it at work and having a solid home life, like emotionally. And here I'm seeing a financial security, like you're concerned, you're worried, you have deep-seated fears about not being secure enough in the physical world and with money. And I'm seeing this pentacle, pentacle, pentacle. So in the past, you're doing very well at work. People view you as very industrious. You're a hard worker. You put it into it. But here you have the 8 and you want the 10, right? You want it to be, and you are scared. Deep down inside, you have to have the 10. If you don't have the 10, you don't have anything. And that's what your sun is pushing you for. But underneath the sun, it's interesting, in the past you have the 8, but present you have the 7. It's almost like you took a step back, right? So I think in the past you were gung-ho. Something instinctually told you that you must have the castle, you must have all of the security. So you went to work. You really went to work, and you started really strong, and presently you kind of took a step back and you're almost evaluating. You're looking at these pentacles as if, okay, are they growing fast enough? Is this what I want, right? And the other thing about the moon, and again, if you get a chance to watch the How to Tarot, it's about what do I want? You know, there's something popping up in your subconscious. You're working really hard and you're doing all work, but I'm not seeing any play. That's the other thing, all work, no play. And it seems to be rooted in some kind of insecurity about your physical environment. You want everything to be solid with your physical environment in order for you to be happy. Now, in the future, I'm seeing people. And now the interesting thing is, in the future, we got the Queen of Cups, we got the Queen of Swords, and we got the Ace of Cups underneath. And these two women are facing opposite directions, y'all. So I'm definitely seeing people here. There's people involved. And then we've got the 10 of Wands. So basically, I'm not seeing any 2s. So I don't think that you're juggling anything. I don't think that these two people know about one another. It's not like anything that, but if you're a woman watching this, I really think that you are torn between two worlds. And the reason that I think that is because, again, the moon reflects the sun's light, and the Queen of Cups is a lunar character. She's ruled by the moon. And the Queen of Swords is ruled by justice, and the Queen of Swords is mind over heart, right? So I think what you have here is you have a lot of polarity, you have a lot of balance. I think what you need to do is I think you're not off track in the fact that you do need money to be secure. You do need a physical, you can't be all off in your head with ideas of like, oh, but not have a roof over your head, right? So the practicality, the wanting that security is not wrong. But the fact that you would work yourself to death or make that the end all be all is not healthy. So I think what I'm seeing here, and again, the fact that the swords, I think that there's a balance here that you need to obtain. And the fact that there's no pentacles in this final lineup really says, okay, think about what your heart wants. Be emotionally nurturing. And then think about, and then take those wants and look at them from a detached viewpoint. You need to have boundaries, right? The Queen of Swords is a boundaries card. So it is completely okay for you to really shine and to work hard. Absolutely. Those are virtues. Those are virtues. But the other thing is that you do need to honor, and again, the moon, you need to honor your emotional needs. You need to be nurturing to yourself. The other thing is, remember how we said the sun is about being so strong in yourself that you are able to give to others? I think that this is, if you're a woman watching this, I think this is a balance of kind of two sides of yourself, your sun and your moon. And if you're either a sun sign air or a moon sign, especially if you have a moon in water, oh my gosh, you'd be feeling that moon, something wicked. But I do think that if you're a woman watching this, you're gonna get a strong new sense of self. You're gonna get a strong new identity. It's almost like an inner love, and it's gonna make you happy. It's almost like balancing these two energies is gonna it's gonna bring you that self-respect. It's gonna bring you that Leo strength. But it is gonna be, you do have to watch not overexerting yourself, because the other thing about this here is that if you're a man watching this, you could have two women in your life, and I'm not seeing an Empress here, so I'm not necessarily thinking that it's a mother, but it could be a woman that you're related to. It could be a sibling, or could be an aunt or someone maternal. But basically, again, I'm not seeing any twos, so I don't think that you're balancing anything. I don't think there's anything hidden or clandestine about this. But I do think that you're going to be taking on a lot. This is going to be a lot of work, and it's almost too much work. It almost feels overwhelming. But I do think that, again, if you're a woman watching this, I think you need to balance two sides of your own personality. And in balancing that, you're really going to have a whole new self-respect. You're going to have and it's going to bring you joy. It's going to bring you the balance between moon and sun that you need to have a strong life, a strong start that's very emotionally secure. And that's the thing about the cups, is that it's emotionally secure. But do be aware that you have to go slowly with this. You can't push to have this balance overnight. You're going to go in waves, is what I'm kind of feeling. But you are emotionally mature enough to handle that. If you're a man watching this reading, I think you're going to have some kind of obligation moving forward where you really want to be the provider. You might be having to provide for a family member as well as a potential spouse. You might be dating somebody, or you might want to start dating someone, but you just don't feel like you have the money, or you don't feel like you have the resources to be strong enough. And you feel like by doing that, by taking on both of these responsibilities, you're really going to wear yourself out. Like, this is just going to be like, am I the man like that, right? Remember we talked about I'm the man, right? Am I man enough for that? It's going to be a lot. So again, in the same vein of being balanced, I think right now you're weighing it, you're looking at it and being like, okay, can I do this? But I do see that in the future, you will take on both responsibilities. You will continue to take care of either this other woman or your family member, and you are also going to endeavor on, an emotional connection with another person, but it's gonna weigh on you. You're gonna have this kind of battle, this balance between, being afraid and knowing that you are enough. But I will just say, just take it in stride. I'm seeing the emotional maturity to pull this off. I do. And I see somebody who is very mentally, someone who can see the situation very clearly, and that's a good attribute. And then you also have someone whom is very emotionally nurturing and mature. So if this is a situation, all I can say is that when you're dealing with the Queen of Swords, keep it real honest. Be on the level at all times. If you are dealing with something that's overwhelming, tell them that it's overwhelming. Tell them that you're taking on too much. This person will understand. This person will understand, and they won't push you, but what they want is they want truth. They don't want any false lies. And then the emotionally nurturing person, just, don't put them through anything, funny either. They're very sensitive. They're mature, but they're sensitive. So again, just keep it on the level, and it will be a lot, but, evaluate it, and it is going to bring you a lot of joy. I think by going forward and being the man, being strong, or balancing yourself and doing the work, it is going to bring you a lot of joy, and it is going to bring you a lot of self-love as well. So that's a really beautiful read, guys. I mean, that's a lovely, that's a lovely sun. All right, deck number 2, we got the Slow Tarot by Lacey Bryant. And so, deck number 2, how does the sun manifest in your life? Deck number 2. How does the sun manifest? Oh, wow. How does the sun manifest in your life? Oh, gotta flip her. Okay, for the record, the Ace of Swords wants to come out. Wow, you guys got beginnings. Okay, deck number 2. Wow. Whoa. You got the Leo card coming out. That's why I'm giggling, guys. Because remember how we talked about the sun being Leo? The sun is Leo. All right, let me go ahead and get started. 1 second. All right, just gonna pause a minute. These are long reads, and sometimes I need to keep water, Okay, so in the past, we've got the Ace of Wands. I love the fact that in this deck, the aces are borderless, and truly you see, you see the dandelions, which are wish cards, and you see all this growth and honeybees. I love bees. So in the past, what's happening is, in the recent past, you definitely had a spark of an idea, or you have the beginning of something that is very action-oriented and that would really feed your soul. So this could be the fact that this is, in a minute we're going to get to the Ace, which is more thoughts and ideas. But in the past, you took some kind of action that really kind of sent you in the right direction. And definitely Wands and the Sun are very related. Just like we talked about in the description, it's like the Sun and Wands are almost like the same suit because they're fire, right? But in the past, you definitely had the potential for a very big new beginning. It might not have, I'm getting the sense like it might not have felt like a really great beginning. The wand is not in reverse, but basically you might have had a few events that just really kind of left you in the doldrums. But I've noticed that those moments in life, whenever things are feeling gray and bleak, whenever something ends, it's such fertile ground for something to begin again, right? You know how they always say that old adage, just remember the endings or just some other beginnings end, right? So when something ends, it puts you in that mindset. Sometimes it gets a little bleak and gray. And then from that ground, you get a spark of an idea, right? You can be bored or feeling listless or feeling unfulfilled. And then all of a sudden you're like, what do I want to do? What do I want to do, right? And that's what the sun really says, okay? And again, we talked about how this sun was doing things that is uniquely you too. Remember when, if you watch the intro, this child is out in sunflowers. Maybe you don't like sunflowers, but someone else does. It's the things that you like to do as an individual, right? That's the other thing about sunflowers, is that they're very unique, they're individual. So I think in the past, you kind of you got the gears going. There's some action that you took that is starting you off on a new beginning, right? And it kind of feels like you might have ended something past and then went through a little bit of a gray period. And now you're in a place where you really want to begin again. You're tired of the gray, you've had your downtime, you're ready to start something new. And again, there's a lot of new cycles coming along too. You know, the Saturn is finally leaving Capricorn. You know, we're going to start getting out of all of this cardinal energy. But in the middle and underneath our sun, you got the Four of Wands. And, you know, just like we talked about cycles, it is, the Four of Wands is a milestone, right? You see it, there's this harvest, right? They've grown, these wands have grown, right? And you see a marching band in the back. I think with it being right under the sun, I think this is the universe's way of saying, you came a long way, baby, right? You came a long way. You might have just been through like a rough patch recently, and now you're really kind of getting the fanfare for completing this cycle, right? You're feeling good. You're feeling like, okay, finally, I've come through and gotten to the end of this cycle, right? I've done my job. I've done what I needed to. And just below it, and it's so interesting that I'm just noticing there's a hummingbird here. There's two hummingbirds. Oh my God. And I'm sorry, if you got a chance to catch the intro, I was talking about how with me and my dad, my Mercury, I always get the image of a hummingbird. I don't know if this is I don't consider myself psychic, but I do think of images, analogies when I think of certain aspects between people. But basically, as you are celebrating a milestone, there's presently, and again, this is the middle, this is the present. Presently, you completed some kind of cycle. And that marching band is for you, right? That marching band, you did a good job. And look at you, you're still it's almost like you're pruning the last of your work there. And so I definitely feel like in the present, you have completed a cycle. And it was, I think it's the universe's way of saying you did a good job. And as you're completing this cycle, it's almost like a new idea is coming in on the tail end of this cycle. It's almost like in the past, you can see that these are both wands, right? So in the past, you started with a wands idea, and that idea came to fruition. And it may not have come in the way that you expected, but you definitely achieved something from this experience, right? And now on the tail end, underneath, or the root of this current, present, future, you got the Ace of Swords, which is, it's a breakthrough, it's a mental understanding. And I think it's kind of telling you that this beginning back here brought you to a point where you are to have this beginning right now, right? You probably went into this thinking, oh, okay, this is the project that I want to achieve. Then you got to a certain milestone, which was good and an accomplishment, but it kind of took a turn where it's like, okay, now that I'm here, I can start this new mental idea. So I think what the universe is telling you is that it's possible that you got started with something that might have been, a different type of project, and it may not have turned out exactly as you anticipated, but it brought you to a place where you could have a new epiphany and you can build upon this existing one, right? And I think the universe really just wants you to know that's a great accomplishment. You should be very proud. You should be excited, right? It isn't, don't be sad that it didn't turn out the way that you had anticipated for, that this ace didn't come to culmination with the 10 of Wands, right? Instead you got a new ace and you're in the perfect position to start this new idea from here, and that's something to be very excited about, right? Now, as we look into the future, you got the Six of Swords in reverse, and that is that moving on card. It's kind of that going to, sailing to safer shores kind of card. And what had me smiling is that enforcing that, you got strength. And strength is such a beautiful card. I have this really lovely red dress here. I'll share a picture of it, but what I love about this is that I do get encouraged by this card because I think I have this red dress that has like the ruched kind of waves like that. And I always feel so confident whenever I wear that dress, but I'll post a picture so you can see what I'm talking about. But it kind of, what it makes me think of is, and I'll get to that in a minute, but basically it means that there is going to be a little bit of a delay. It's possible that this new beginning back here really had you wanting something, and that dream might have gotten a little detoured. But you have the potential for a new dream. You have a potential for an idea that's really going to take you far. Because the other thing is you got these two here are wands. These two here are swords. So it's almost as if this sword, this new idea that you're having now, that's piggybacking off the milestone from your wand, is going to take you here, right? The sword is going to take you here. And the thing is, it's going to take you a little bit farther because this was the Ace of Wands and it took you to the Four of Wands. From the Four of Wands, you got the Ace of Swords, and the Ace of Swords is taking you to the Six of Swords. So it's 6 is further on than 4, right? You're making progress. But the thing is, the Six of Swords is in reverse. So that does mean delays. It means that you probably want to go, there might be a situation happening where you just really want to move on from something. You want to go to a shore. You want to go to new shores, because when you look at it upright, this person is in a boat. He's going away from rocky waters into calmer waters, and there's a lighthouse. There's seagulls showing him that there's land ahead, right? And this card is in reverse. So it means that there's going to be a delay. You're not immediately going to get to these safer waters that you're imagining right now. Right? It's going to take a little time. But the fact that this is the path of the sun, right? The fact that you got strength next to it, it means that you have the wherewithal to do this. You have the wherewithal to do this. And again, just like the sun is shining down on this child, it's almost like seeing things, remember how we said seeing things from a higher perspective? The journey is going to be a little bit longer than you anticipate. But it is going to bring you joy. This path is going to bring you joy. It's just going to take a little bit of time. And there's going to be a few moments. There's going to be moments of getting really excited. I'm feeling like all of this energy. I'm getting this strong, joyous energy around these aces. But then it's almost like extreme highs and lows is what I'm kind of getting. There's going to be moments where you're just gung-ho, like, let's go, Ace of Swords, Ace of Wands, new idea, jump on it. But as you are actually putting these ideas into place and following through, you're going to have moments where you're going to feel a little discouraged. But it wants you to know that you have the strength. It's almost like going to be, being friends with your ego, right? That's the other thing, is that's the strength card, right? It's about, and we did How to Tarot on Strength, if you want to watch that, but it's about calming that, and it's about being in tandem with those inner desires, knowing that, your ego is not there to make you look dumb or, to send you out on wild goose chases. It's there to make you shine, right? And you are able to shine. You have an exuberance, but you almost have to temper that sometimes. You have to reel it in sometimes, and you kind of have to get, it's almost like, you know how they always say, like, there's a great philosophical concept that talks about the realm of ideas. Like, I always say, imagine you want to build a birdhouse, right? And you get all your popsicle sticks in order, right? And this, in your head, the birdhouse is this elaborate, bird mansion, right? And then when you pull out the glue and your popsicle sticks and you actually get it together, it looks like this decrepit, broken down thing. And you're like, that is not how I envisioned it in my mind, right? So it is a little bit of a partnership between the idea, the energy that you put forth, and the materials, right? In order to make the finished product as glorious as you're envisioning it, it can't just be all idea, or it can't just all be energy. You actually have to put physical into it, right? And that's where, strength talks about that. It talks about, okay, not going too fast, not rushing into it, not, making it real and with the sense of yourself. And it is kind of a tempering, of you are working in tandem with that sunny part of yourself. And you are going to have moments where you feel a little delayed. But remember, a card in reverse doesn't say it's not going to happen. It says you will get to that other shore. It's just going to take a little bit longer than you anticipate. And try not to get frustrated. Try not to get frustrated. Calm that inner lion, because you want to shine right now, and it can't shine right now. But go ahead and be that modest, virgin, and say, look, it's okay, lion. It's okay, ego. We're going to get there. We're going to get there together, right? It'll happen. So guys, that is your sun. That's actually really beautiful. That's really beautiful. And, again, the other thing that it tells me with that strength card is that if you are having moments of feeling really deterred and stressed out, go ahead and wear that red dress, right? Go ahead and wear that dress that makes you feel like $1 million. Just know that, you are going to have that celebratory outcome. You're going to have that victory that you're looking for. All right, so deck number 3, we got our Zillich Tarot Sun. This really is a beautiful card. Okay, so deck number 3 is one of my mini decks. I need to do another mini deck reading. We haven't had one of those in a while. Here, I'll go ahead and put the sun right in the middle of the sun's rays. I'm really liking this tablecloth. I hope you guys like it. It is new. I didn't want the pattern to be too busy, but it actually helps me really keep things evenly spaced. So, all right, deck number 3. How does the sun manifest in your life right now? Well, thank you. Ooh, we got the Queen of Wands, we got Leo energy. All right. Past, future. How does the sun manifest in your life right now? This wants to pop out. This is kind of coming off of the side here. Any clarification for Emperor? Please clarify the Emperor. Ooh. Quite a lot going on here, guys. All right, so deck number 3. In the past, we have the 6 of discs. And what is interesting is really when you look at this card, there's a really bright sun in the back. And then it looks like kind of a mermaid wearing a sweater. I know that sounds crazy. Or no, I'm sorry, it's a person riding a fish. It looks like, what is it, an narwhal? Those fish that have horns. But a narwhal. Sorry, narwhal. But you see the sun really in the background there. Now, the 6 of discs, and underneath it, it does have a keyword. It says success. Now, typically the 6 of coins or the 6 of discs is a balancing. It's putting money towards different causes. It's usually meaning having several fiscal obligations. But here in the past, in reading this with the sun in the background, I am really reading it as if you had a lot of success at something that was very unique. Like, it was almost like you were able to be uniquely you, and it brought you success, typically because it's disc in the physical world. So outwardly you have received a lot of success in the past, and the other thing is, with the Six of Discs, it has enabled you to pay back certain debts. Maybe you got a promotion at work, maybe you did something. I get this feeling as if you really shined in your own capacity. Like, if you got a promotion at work, it was because you really did something that was above and beyond, and it was intrinsically you, right? And that enabled you to take care of a lot of goals. Maybe you had certain bills from the past that you wanted to pay off, and the new promotion, it allowed you to get to a current place of success, and it also made you feel very unique. I'm really getting a strong sense that whatever this success was, it was not just financially, it wasn't just work related, it wasn't just you doing a job and getting paid fiscally for it. I think you really also got recognition for being you, and that, you as an individual, you got recognized for being a unique person or good at what you do. Now, the current energy, we got the Eight of Wands, which is swiftness. And the thing is, we've got a lot of rainbows here. You got the Ten of Discs, which is the Ten of Cups. I absolutely love, I'm sorry, not the Ten of Cups, the Ten of Pentacles. I love this rendition. You see the two people, and the woman just looks so elegant, and they have hands over the saddle of the horse. It's almost as if they have freedom. At any time, either one of them could, get on the horse and ride around, and it's just such a gorgeous card. I can't believe this is watercolor the way that she did it. But you have the Eight of Wands, you've got the Ten of Discs, you've got the Queen of Wands, which is the, very Leo. Look at her, isn't she dynamic? And you got the Prince of Discs. And the princes in this deck are the kings, by the way. They are kings. So you have a couple, this is a couple, but it's Wands and Pentacles, right? You've got the Queen of Wands and the King of Pentacles there, who is typically depicted as the person in the Ten of Discs, right? He's the patriarch, he's the provider in the Ten of Discs. And at the bottom, and it came out kind of at an angle, is you got the Three of Wands. So presently, I feel like you're in a very sunny place right now. This definitely feels family related, or it feels like you have a counterpart. If you're a woman watching this reading, you are feeling very much in your power. These are Leo. Look how much gold and red is in all this, right? You are at top of your game, right? She has a cheetah at her feet. She's showing off that leg. Her head is thrown back. She's just like, I am the bomb diggity, right? And what's beautiful is that you have the Ten of Discs, and you have, again, I told you have the King of Discs on one side, and you got the Queen of Wands on the other. So I'm definitely seeing some kind of strong success. It's really as if you kind of I think right now, whether you're a man or a woman watching this, presently the Three of Wands is virtue, and it's waiting for your ships to come in, and the Eight of Wands is typically those 8 wands flying through the air, that it's coming, right? It's coming, right? Presently, I feel like you are in a place where, because of something that you've done in the past, you're present, you are awaiting like everything you ever wanted to come in on your ship, right? The things are moving quickly. You're expecting this Ten of Pentacles, right? You're expecting this Ten of Pentacles, and the Ten of Pentacles is going to involve a very stable and happy family life. And I feel like if you're a man, you're expecting to, get it all settled with a Queen of Wands character. Someone who's very beautiful, very dynamic, she is a little bit of the arm candy woman, right? And then you are just going to be the king bee. You're going to be the provider. You're going to have all that money. I am kind of getting a Taurus vibe here too. There's a very Taurus vibe. So here, I really just think that right now you're feeling very in your power. You're very happy, and you're looking forward to this happy, stable home with a dynamic woman, or you are the dynamic woman, and if it's you, you're going to be settling down with a very stable, financially secure man who can offer you, that security. But the thing is, this Three of Wands wanted to, and this is Wands, right? This is Wands here too. It's fire energy. And the thing about fire is that fire flames up and dims down. It's not physical. So I am getting the sense that this hasn't happened yet, but you are getting excited because this is on the horizon. This is on your current horizon. Like, you're expecting this any day now, and it's coming quick. But the thing is, the fact that this came out next to the King of Pentacles, you're either, if you are the Queen of Wands, you are waiting for your King of Pentacles, like your King of Pentacles is waiting for this so he can give you all of this prosperity. Or if you are the King of Pentacles, you are waiting. You're expecting, you're watching those wands in the air, like, okay, come on in, I'm waiting for you. And he's the waiting card too, because I want to go ahead and, I want to lock down, possibly make a commitment to this Queen of Wands. Now, the other thing that I'm noticing here is there's a lot of green in the Pentacles guy, and when you look at it, the red of the glove is red like the Queen. So I do think that there's something that, it could be, I don't know, it could be a commission of some sort. The fact that there's Pentacles here and the fact that you're waiting, it's an action that started from the past. This is physical, real world, but this is action. It's like, okay, but it is waiting, right? And I am kind of getting a feeling as if it's giving you a little bit of a headache because maybe it's taking a little longer than anticipated, because this is the waiting card, right? It's almost like you can't get this happy scene together until these wands finally come in for a landing, right? And it really pertains to someone. I am getting a strong sense that this King of Pentacles really, really, really loves this Queen. Like, he thinks she is the bee's knees, right? And she's almost dynamic in the fact, I am getting a strong sense that she's very independent. Like, she wants a partner, but she doesn't. That's the thing about the Queen of Wands. She can want a partner, but she doesn't need one. She's very independent. But the King of Discs is very stable. He knows what he wants. Like, look at that expression on his face, right? He's looking at her, and she's not even making eye contact. He's just like, yeah, that looks good to me. How do I mean, this very well might be you contemplating proposing. It could be that. Either that or somebody really wants to lock it down with you. But again, there is some kind of delay. It's almost as if somebody is waiting. Now, the future of it is you got the Emperor. And the Emperor, and I got some clarifications, because the Emperor he's a powerful character. First off, he's the King of Kings, right? He rules kings. He could be a boss to this King of Discs. He could be a father or grandfather to the King of Discs. But the thing is, the Emperor likes things his way. He's a very controlling type of guy, right? Not in a bad way. He's a good leader, and as long as the card is upright, he's not doing anything in a malicious way. But he likes control. He wants things to go his way. He's very regimed about things. It's military is what it's like. He has armor, and just like a drill sergeant, you don't deviate from his plan. You follow his plan. And underneath it, or the clarifiers that I got the Magician, And I got the Prince of Swords. So it's interesting. I could kind of read this several different ways. Again, in the present, we have a lot of hopes here, guys. And again, the only thing is with the Sun, it's an extremely positive card. But the Sun it's almost like a feeling. Again, it's like a peak of excitement that doesn't necessarily make it physical. It doesn't make it real. It's just kind of that jolt of expectation. The fact that we do have a King of Discs and a 10 of Discs tell me that, okay, there is a potential for real. But as that's in the middle, this might be manifesting right now. But the way that I'm reading it is that in the future, there might be a little bit of price to pay for this. You might have to answer to a boss, like maybe you did, get a raise at work. Maybe you took on a new job responsibility. Again, I feel like in the past you did something to kind of get you to a higher level, like you jumped up a level somehow. And with that advancement, you are building on that. Now, the only thing that I kind of caution with is the fact that you look at this, you've got you in the past, right? And then you've got Emperor in the future. I can read it one of two ways. Either you answer to a boss or some kind of parental figure. You might have someone who calls the shots, so to speak. The foundation of this 10 of Pentacles might be built on ground that's been financed by this person. So that could be a family member, that could be a boss, but somehow they have some kind of control or some kind of stake in what you're developing. And what's happening is underneath the Emperor, you got the Magician and you got the Prince of Swords. So what that tells me is the Magician is the manifester. He has the 4 elements there. He has the cup, he has the sword, he has the pentacle, and he has the wand. It almost looks like a magic wand here. But the Magician is the number 1. He's the second card. He is the person who is, it's almost like he's just now, this whole lineup is the finished product. What's following the finished product are the seeds. So what this is telling me is that this is a dream. It's a dream. It's what you get excited about. It's the future that you envision, because those wands are flying in the air, right? You're waiting to set all this up. And it's either you that's the Emperor, because you want it like this. As the Emperor, it's almost like you building your house. I want it like this. I want my bathroom right there. I want you to put the cornerstone right there. That's the kind of Emperor energy. He calls the shots. He controls. But you either answer to this person, or you are looking at this, because again, he's looking here, right? This Emperor is looking at this whole, fantasy island, beautiful scene, and saying, this is how I want things to go. And underneath it, what tells me that this is kind of what you have in your mind, or what you're getting juiced about, is the fact that you got the Magician and the Prince of Swords. Prince of Swords is the pages. Princes are kings. And the Magician, I got thrown there a minute. Wow, that changes the ante here. Yeah, I really get the feeling as if, I think in the future, there's definitely either somebody watching who's really strategic. The King of Swords he's the mental strategist. He does not wear his heart on his sleeve. He controls. You can see he's standing over all these masks that are falling to his feet, right? the vibe that I'm getting is that I think in your present you have the opportunity for a lot of success, a lot of stability. But in the future, that stability is either reliant on somebody, or you are kind of mapping this out in your head. And as you go forward, you want the control, you want to manifest it, and it's almost as if you are taking the meticulous mental steps to make this happen. But that it hasn't manifested yet, but this combination right here, that either tells me that there's two men involved. If I had to call it, also guys, if you are a lady watching this, and I'm just going to call it like I see it, I think that you're a very dynamic person. I think you deserve a lot of joy in your life, and I think that you have somebody around you. You have a King of Pentacles who's very interested in you, who would be able to provide that to you, who'd be a very reliable person, and they could give you that life. But for whatever reason, you're hemming and hawing, you're kind of standing back, you're waiting. And then as you go forward, there might be another person here who is they're really mentally playing games with you. And it's because of this relationship. This could be because Three of Wands, that's a triangle, guys. That's a triangle. And I'm seeing someone who is very controlling, and they're really strategizing. But I see a lot of happiness, a lot of joy and stability too, which is such a nice combination in the present. But moving forward, the Magician does manifest things. Things do manifest. So if anything, this could also very well be you. It could be you deciding what you want to do. And you might be doing it in kind of like, there are definitely moments in life where you say, okay, I know what I want, right? So it could be very well, if you're a lady watching this, you could be coming in the Emperor's energy. And what you are doing is you're saying, to be happy, to shine my brightest light, I want a stable home. I want to express myself. I want to be vibrant and creative. I want to be with someone who is reliable and mature and there for me. And I am not going to settle for anything less but that. So moving forward, you might be kind of getting into your Emperor energy where you're just like, I'm taking my heart completely out of this. If you do not meet the criteria of this, it's not happening, right? Magician makes it happen. Mentally, you know what you want. Emperor, it's your way or the highway, right? And I think this is definitely saying, yeah. So basically, two scenarios. You could be currently in a very happy situation where in the future there might be somebody who might be trying to manifest something with you, but they see you in a happy situation, so the other person is up in their head about it. Alternatively, in the past, you've really come a long way, and presently, this is what you want to be happy. This is what would make you happy. And in order to get that, you're going to get into an energy, and I know the Emperor energy is more masculine. It's kind of tough. It's really, these two energies are very masculine. I would be very surprised if this was coming out in the reading for a woman, but because this is somebody this is a strategic person. This is like top shelf level of, I'm planning this out, I'm implementing this is gonna go the way I want it to go. And then this person has the resources to make that happen. Almost kind of, the magician in the reverse can be a little manipulative. So I'm not saying that that's you, but I'm just saying that in layman's terms, if this is what you want, you're about to get really no bullshit about it. And that's not a bad thing, guys. That is not a bad thing, because there are some moments in life where it's like, I want to be happy, let's make this happen, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But I would just say that if you are a woman, kind of work in partnership with the universe. It doesn't have to be a full-out war, but I definitely see, and especially when you take into consideration the images, the King of Swords is he seems to be vanquishing lies and masks, and these are scary looking masks. It's almost like you are not tolerating anything fake. Nothing fake. It is the real deal, Holyfield, or thank you next. And that is, I think that's the energy that you're getting into, and that can be a very positive thing. And again, the Emperor with the Sun, that is a commanding person. That is, and just like we said with the Sun, that is knowing your worth. It's knowing your worth, knowing your value, knowing who you are, and being able to empower others. So either way, you're either being an example in your own life, and it's making somebody else watch your example and want to be a part of it, or it is you saying, okay, I know what's going to make me happy, and I'm not settling for anything less. I'm going to get the gears turning, and I'm not, there's going to be no falsehood. This is what I'm going to get. So guys, that is your Sun energy. That really is quite beautiful. And more power to you. Gosh, I wouldn't want to go up against that. Rock on. Shine on. All right, guys. Well, that was a little bit of a longer reading. The How to Tarots tend to do that, but thank you for sticking it out. I hope you enjoyed. If as we get going, next Tuesday we are in the second to last card. We are moving right along, guys, and we are going to be talking. I believe it is Judgment. Oh gosh, that's going to be a fun one. And then this Saturday I do my weekly energy card reading. I hope you can join me for that. Also, this Friday it is Valentine's Day, and I am doing a very special reading. It's going to be all love cards. So I hope you can join me. I'm going to post it first thing Friday morning, and feel free to check it out. If you have any suggestions or any special reads that you want me to do, I would be very honored if you would like, comment, and subscribe. No obligation. If you just want to comment below and let me know, I will definitely look at that and try to do that in the near future. And for now, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I've got more Valentines to make for a lot of people, but I hope you have a good week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.